Hey guys, real deep dive today into a putting affliction known as the Yips. And a good friend of mine called in. We had a good long discussion. We get into some real tactical details on how I overcame the Yips and some advice that I share for him in his efforts to gain a little more confidence on the greens. Hope you guys find it of real value. Enjoy it.
This is the Golf Essentials Podcast with Casey Bork.
Absolutely. You know, for me, even though I had the claw grip, I'm not comfortable with the claw grip, and I'm not confident with it. And
what strategy are you deploying? Are you other than switching your grip around?
So what's crazy? So for me, switched the grip around. I tried to basically I made sure that my eye was over the ball, right? So I was making sure that my eye was completely over the ball. Now, when I'm getting to like I know that you talked about having like 2, 3, 4 footers, 6 footers.
Mm-hmm.
Those are actually fine for me because when I'm using the claw grip, I'm getting it online and I'm hitting it fine. But with the claw grip, I don't have that same feel and touch from 10, 15, 20, and then even further back.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I really struggle with those. And so I'm not, like, at this point, I'm kind of grasping at straws, like, what do I do? I'm good, like, with short range putts, but then long range, I'm terrible. And,
wow,
you know, I used to have great touch and great feel. And I would say right now, it's so bad. I'm literally just trying to lag it with, I mean, I'm still trying to do everything I would normally do. Like I'm picking a line, I'm picking this, but my distance control was so poor that I basically, my strategy was, well, if that's the case, I'm just going to focus on making 3, 5, 6 and make sure that I can make those all day long. And that's what I've been able to do. Now, when you get to a golf course and you're playing in more pressure and faster greens and more undulated greens, now you're missing even more putts, you know, even the close ones, because, you know, there's a little more pressure and there's a little more precision needed.
Sure.
So that's the state of my putting game right now. And
wow. That's different, Chaz.
It is.
Most people struggle with the shorties, but you're able to get your head around the shorties more so than the long one.
Only with the claw grip, because I would much prefer just putting with a conventional grip, but that's where the yips come in. I don't have a yip when I have the claw, but I lose the distance control and the feel when I have the claw.
Interesting. So my case of the yips when I was in college and really my whole college career, I was petrified over a 1.5 foot putt. Like, you know, I was insanely nervous, and it was a grind. It was literally all 4 years there, struggling with that.
Did you have issues on a putting green, like a practice putting green before?
There were people in Maine where I grew up, right, that literally know me and still today know me as like the best putter they had ever seen.
Right.
And then I went to Florida, got on Bermuda grass and highly competitive, right? I was a big fish in a little pond in Maine, and you know how our team was there, and everybody on our team could shoot in the 60s. And you just had to play hard to get into tournaments. And I don't know. And I had done some good things. I had a lot of people sort of putting a lot of expectations on me. And then that made me put pressure on myself and all that. But it became a real challenge. And but for me, it was different. It was more like the shorties. So anything like 10 feet and in, or makeable range. It was in my brain. It was either make or miss. And, whereas a long putt, the make isn't really in the mind. It's more just, let's throw it up there close. But I could tell you it transferred from those 1.5-foot putts all the way out to the tee for me. It was, and I'm sure you felt how that is, where you feel like you have to be in position. You have to hit it close. Otherwise, you're going to make bogeys, it just strains every aspect of your game.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, so for me, when it started, it was just on a regular, there was no pressure. I was just playing around a golf and it started happening. And I ended up having like 6 3-putts on the back 9. And I'm going, holy shit, do I have the yips? Then I couldn't sleep that night. And I went out, I'm like, I have to go to a golf course tomorrow. Like I want to, and I went to a practice putting green and I literally could not putt. I couldn't make anything. And I could feel it. It was like, it's almost like there's no pressure on me, right? I'm on a putting green. There's no one even watching me.
To me, the pressure is not of the circumstance. The pressure is, do the yips exist or do they not?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So,
it's a different pressure. It has nothing to do with tournaments. It's the fact that you hope desperately that the yips would be going away. Whether you're playing by yourself or with 100 people watching, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So you asked me before, well, what's my strategy? And I guess for me, I'm kind of going to you like, I have a couple of courses of action that I want to take because I'm now in the Northeast. So I have all winter to think about it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So do I, maybe go to a different style putter, maybe something that's still legal, a la like a longer putter. I mean, you can't like bridge it or up against anything, but you can certainly go with a longer putter and see if that works.
Yep.
I've also thought of, I mean, if anything, just working on speed control and doing nothing but speed control type drills with only the claw grip. Because what I find myself trying to do is I really want to tell myself, hey, I don't have the yips. And sometimes I go conventional and I'm great. And guess what? I make a lot of putts.
Yeah.
On a putting green because I feel like I can roll it. And then all of a sudden you can feel it coming back and you're going, oh man. But I just don't have that same feel that I have with a claw grip. And I guess I don't know how else to describe that, but at least with a shorter putt, I can get the ball on line. But when I have a longer putt with those claw grips, I mean, I'm telling you, I was leaving it short and right almost every time. Yeah. So to me, that tells me that I'm just trying to guide the ball. I'm not actually stroking it. I'm just kind of guiding it, trying to guide it into the hole. And so I think I just need to, for me, I think it's just a matter of picking whatever grip I'm going to have. And if it's the claw, it's going to have to be, because I don't want to go back and then all of a sudden, oh crap, here they come again.
Yep.
And it's a very helpless feeling.
Yeah.
You hit the ball so well and you're not rewarded for it on the putting surface.
Yeah. I mean, I talked about it in a previous episode, and when I get up and speak in front of groups and talk about my background, I'll tell the story that I was literally one rainy day away from quitting golf.
Dude, when you told me that in Orlando at Sistrunk's place, I was floored.
And
I was
Chaz,
floored by that.
That was freshman year of college.
I know.
So that was like I'm on a team that just won the national championship, and I'm the defending champion at our state amateur. And if it rained the next day, which it was supposed to, I was done. I told my dad I'm done. And so for me, I've had a number of strategies over the years, and there's still in the back of my mind that they could still be there, and I've had times where since then, so since that sort of low point of basically telling my dad I was going to quit golf to playing in really big golf tournaments, like PGA Tour tournaments, where I was absolutely fearless putting, and to rebound from that, I'm very proud of that. That was not an easy road to haul, but
No.
If I played in the tour event in Vegas in '09, and I have screenshots of the website somewhere. I literally led the field in putting that week. I did not miss a putt inside of 10 feet. and I literally led the field in putting, which was crazy. And so I know it was there, but so some of the strategies that I've deployed over the years, and so I changed to the claw grip about 12 years ago. And the way that I did it, I think there's a few things that I would recommend you do over the winter. And there were a few times in my life where I had time like you do, and one of which was back when I was in high school, senior year of high school in the winter. I was really into golf, and what I did every night when we were watching TV, family sitting around watching TV, or I was in my room or whatever, I put a dime on the ground and I was hitting 4-footers or so on a nice fast rug, not a rug that is long, is going to, wear a trail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and what I did was I hit those 4-footers over a dime, which you have to be really precise to hit a dime. By the way, it's easier to hit a golf tee standing up than it is to hit a quarter. You could test that. So a dime is a lot harder.
Yeah.
So if like the width that you have to play with, a tee standing up is easier to hit than a quarter and then a dime, so hitting thousands, I'm telling you, thousands of putts, like hit the putt. You're not concerned about the speed. You're just making your stroke, and you're hearing that click of the ball going over the coin. What you're doing is you're really solidifying your setup and your pre-shot. So if you're going to convert to a new grip, which is exactly what I did some years later when I converted to the claw, was I didn't just try the claw when I was playing golf one day. I did it over the course of like a month, and I didn't use it playing real golf. I only used it when I was home putting over a coin over and over and over. And I got 5,000 or 10,000, I forget how many, I did the math, say 10,000 repetitions of setting up to the ball, the awkwardness of putting your hands on the club and aligning the club face and feeling comfortable over the ball. You're rehearsing that just as much as the stroke itself. So before I ever deployed it on a real golf course, I hit it on the putting green a few times, like, wow, that feels pretty good. But I got 10,000 reps indoors, putting over a coin and rehearsing that so that when I did deploy it on the golf course, it was automatic. I had all those little idiosyncrasies that you go through in your pre-shot. Yeah. That was nailed down, and you're able to get through it, and you're able to give it the best possible chance of success, right?
Yeah.
You
In fact,
have that
for
patience.
me, my normal putting practice, right? Like I haven't done that, but I probably will employ that of putting over a dime or a quarter. But my normal practice, if I'm going out to a golf course and I don't have time to play a full round, and I'm going, well, let me work on my putting. I'm doing either the 3-6-9 drill, where I put a tee at 3 feet, 6 feet, 9 feet,
Mm-hmm.
and it's almost, and I'm putting some kind of pressure on myself.
Yeah,
where
to complete some challenge.
Right,
Like that.
complete a challenge, right? So for
Yep.
me, I take 3 balls and I'm making 3 balls from 3 feet, 6 feet, and 9 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And if I complete it and I make all 9, I go 9 for 9. Then I go and I putt from the opposite way to get a different break,
Yep.
So that's what I did. And like I said, I've putted very well with the claw grip inside of 10 feet. When I get outside of it is where I tend to, not have my best putts, let's say, or it's either I get unlucky or who knows what it is, but I am definitely not holing those putts outside of anything. In fact, I played a scramble. The last time I played this year was in the rain. Played in a scramble event. Would you believe we shot 14 under, I believe, and I did not make a single putt for my team.
Wow.
Not one.
And you're the A player.
There was another, we'll call it A and A1 and A2, because we're both same. We're both, low single digit handicappers, right?
Right. And you're probably getting reads because you're putting third or fourth most of the time.
That was correct. So I actually told him, I'm like, let me putt second. Give me one read. Let me putt second to help the guys who were putting better than I was.
Yeah.
And I burned probably 6 or 7 edges all day, but I just literally could not get one thing to fall in that day.
So let me speak to your practice strategy. So back to your 3-6-9 thing. I think that's good if you're simulating pressure, but that sort of practice is highly focused on result, right? Whether the ball goes in the hole or whether it doesn't. And from 9 feet, to be honest, I mean, there are a lot of factors that determine you could be hitting great putts all day and they're not all going in. So the relationship of the quality of your stroke and the result on the end is not a one-to-one relationship, right? There's bumps in the greens and things like that. But so I also think that beyond sort of putting over a dime and getting in those repetitions, what I would recommend is having some alignment aids while you're doing that. So if you've got some alignment sticks or something like that, set up an apparatus at your house that you can reliably and precisely set up a nice straight 3 or 4 foot putt, because what you need to do is you're rehearsing the pre-shot just as much as the in swing, the stroke itself. And so I think you're going to, after a lot of repetitions, I think you're going to get a lot of peace of mind. You're going to get some peace of mind over the ball when you know with certainty that you're aiming correctly and you've got a lot of strokes under your belt that, all right, I know I'm aiming correctly and I know that this stroke produces a putt that starts it on line, right? Because there are a lot of little subconscious adjustments that we make. If we're aimed 2 degrees off and we pull it 2 degrees and it goes in, we deem that to be a perfect stroke because the ball went in. But you're training something that's wrong, right? Got it. I would take the time to you're deploying patience as well, right? It's like, all right, I'm gonna be diligent. I'm gonna do this every day. I'm gonna lay down these things, make sure I'm aiming where I think I'm aiming, make sure that and now I want a stroke that's gonna make that ball click the dime. And I'm gonna do that a lot. I'm gonna rehearse the pre-shot as well. That way when you're settling over the ball, you're gonna have, and what you're shooting for is that comfortable feeling that you have in your brain that only that type of practice is going to ever give you. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
Now,
but for
so I'll be doing that with the claw grip because that's what I would employ going forward. How do you
I would.
now if I'm struggling with longer distance putts, and that's
Mhm.
more of something that I can't really do indoors, but it's something that, hey, I've already done all the prep work as far as my routine and how I address the ball, how I
Yes, but I disagree. I think you can do it indoors because remember, you're putting over a dime that is 4 feet away or whatever.
yeah.
Nobody says you have to hit it like a 4 foot putt. You can hit it like a 20 foot putt as long as you have a pillow
Yeah,
behind
yeah.
you.
Okay.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
okay. Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
so you can hit putts that you're visualizing different distances, but you're set up precisely and you're repeating this process of, going through, setting up, making your stroke. And I'm telling you, when you're comfortable over the ball, that's really going to weigh heavily on your confidence when you take it to the golf course. Now, for the long putts, I've heard that a lot before, and I fought that when I converted to the claw. Where the long putts, I didn't feel like I had any sensation, that sort of feel.
Yeah.
But good players, which you're one of them, what they define as feel is usually some sort of manipulation, some sort of, you just intuitively know how hard to hit it. You know what I mean? You've got this sort of sense because you've played so much golf and you're good at golf and you know.
Right.
So when you go to the claw, you're sort of taking that sixth sense away a little bit. You
Right.
know what I mean? You're removing your hands from the equation, which is a
Correct.
beautiful thing for people in a yip circumstance. But what you're forcing yourself into doing is relying on your core more because you aren't using your extremity. You're not using your hands and your arms. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
most people, and if you think of human nature, when you're nervous and you're protective and you're scared in life, anywhere, right? It's a human reaction to hunker down, to restrict, to tighten up, and to protect. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
and in putting, what happens is you do the same exact thing. You're afraid, you're dreading.
Which is the exact opposite of what you need to do. You need to be swinging freely and clear and almost clear of thought, really.
Well, yeah, what you're doing is you're protecting and guarding with the muscles, meaning your core, that you should be using more of. And when you get guarded with your core and you're not rocking your shoulders as much, that's the easy way to think about it. It's either your shoulders or your arms doing the power, right? To provide the power. If your shoulders aren't doing anything because you're nervous and you're scared and you're afraid to really move them, now it
Right.
falls on your hands to do it. And that's where the yips get exaggerated. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
Yep.
I would start to feel when you're doing it indoors, putting over a dime. Again, you're not concerned with any result other than just hearing the click of that dime.
Mm-hmm.
I would try to over exaggerate your shoulder, your body, your big muscles, and really try to feel like your arms are just dead
Yep.
arms, dead hands, zero power, zero energy is coming from them.
So just focus on the trunk and the pendulum of your rotation of your shoulder.
Yeah. So we're taking it away from the extremities, bringing it to the core. But the first step in solving a problem is admitting you have a problem. And I could tell you it's human nature to hunker down and to protect when you're nervous, and that exacerbates the challenge when you're putting, especially from distance, because you need to have a little power. And if you're shorthanding the backswing, now you got to hit with your arms and hands, and those guys don't work very well when you're nervous.
No, not usually. Not usually.
So I used to, for my longer putts, putting indoors, I used to set it up where I'd have like a real thick book behind the dime, but I'd have it on like a 45-degree angle, so it would kick the balls off to the side into a pillow, and I'd use like 10 balls and just, reset each putt. You reset. You like take your hands off the putter.
Yep.
And
you get behind it and you do your pre-shot routine all over again, right?
I mean, indoors you may not go through like getting behind it to that extreme, but you do want to like move your feet, get your feet out of their footsteps, right?
And
because you're rehearsing at least that sort of final stage of your routine. You're rehearsing getting over the ball. You know what I mean? And and that's where you're going to get the most value out of this practice. It's not so much like worrying about whether your stroke is inside out or inside, whatever that crap is. It doesn't matter. What we're shooting for is like getting that club face aligned square to where you think square is, make your stroke, hear the click, and just repeat like crazy. And do it for shorties, do it for long ones, and just build yourself a mechanism that you're not going to break windows.
Now, should I also, while I'm doing that, use like a mirror, make sure my eyes are over the ball or anything like that, or should I just be focusing on?
If you would find it helpful, if I agree with having your eyes over the ball, stuff like that. Putting has a lot of room for personal preference. There are only a couple laws in putting that we know. Like, it's like you got to have the club face square. It's distance and direction. That's it. Like, however you get it done, who gives a shit?
Exactly.
There's a sentiment that having your eyes over the ball usually helps you align better because you're over the ball. There's not that parallax error of like what you see is a little different. And having your eyes parallel to the line and all that. Those are tactics that all seem to help toward that distance and direction ultimate law. You know what I mean? It's really a preference versus a law. So, I mean, you can use a mirror if you want. You could putt with your head against a wall. You could set this whole apparatus up so that your head is literally against a wall. All that feedback is really good, and you could do it differently each day, Some days you could do it with the mirror and other days not. And then if you go a week without the mirror, a week later you get up there with the mirror and you see if what you've been practicing or your natural thing is now moving towards what you know is correct. Like the mirror gives you some feedback,
Right.
But I don't believe in, when you're doing drills and you're practicing, I don't necessarily believe in, like, aside from alignment, I'll say, if you've got a drill that you do, like only doing that drill over and over and over, I like it when, you go to the drill and then you do stuff without the drill and you come back to the drill and you can gauge your improvement there, But for you, I think it sounds to me like I would try the claw, because I think, if you have confidence that you're not flinching, at least the other stuff I think is more about just some technique and being able to roll that out,
Very good. Yeah, I'll definitely work on that. I actually have a perfect area in the basement, and I can put a rug down that's fairly thin, rolls well. So yeah, I can easily make that happen.
Yeah. I think when I was in high school, I spent the whole winter doing that. And when I came out in the spring, I only did it because I just loved golf and I just wanted to do it. when I came out in the spring, all of a sudden I was a better putter. I was so confident. It was so cool. I wish I could bottle that up. You know what I mean?
I laugh because I remember growing up, when you're first starting to play golf, you're not hitting as many greens, right? So you're not hitting it as long enough, so you're having to focus on getting up and down, right? So when you're first starting to play, like making par putts, 10, 12 footers, like that's a big deal, And then as you get older and hit the ball longer, now you're having those same putts for birdie. But I just feel like, man, when I was younger, I was fearless putting, right? And I would love to bottle that feeling. I would love that. But
yeah, if we could, we'd be awfully rich if we could bottle that up. But I say like the kids putt fearlessly because they've never missed a putt that really means anything. You know what I mean? Like, until you've missed a devastating 3-footer in a big tournament, it's like, oh, I didn't realize I could miss those putts, and now I do. And that sucks. Even though I make 99 out of 100, I'm still worried about the one.
Exactly.
And that's how it spirals. But yeah, man, I would try to lean on the facts and meaning like set up an environment where you think you're aiming is where you're aiming, and take advantage of the time where you're not worried about any results at all, and you can really like roll through a lot of reps and build that confidence, so that you get out on the golf course in the spring, you'll be like, wow, this just feels, you won't know why, but it just feels comfortable. You know what I mean?
Right.
And ultimately, I think that's what you're looking for, is that comfort over the ball, not this sort of worry, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
And what's funny is, you feel so helpless, like, all right, well, let's tee up in the next hole. You don't putt well on this one. Well, let's go to the next one. And like you're saying, it does go all the way back to the tee because you put so much pressure on all other parts of your game that you feel you have to be perfect then to make up for the fact that you're not putting well,
I know the feeling 100%. It puts pressure on a 7-iron from 160 yards, like that people would never understand. Like, and now you're firing at flags because you think you have to hit it close, because otherwise you're going to 3-putt, and you're firing at flags that you should never be firing at, and then you're making doubles.
Yep.
You're just not able to play golf the way that you're supposed to. And golf has a nasty way of exposing those weaknesses, You just can't get around having a real deep weakness in golf.
Nope.
So that's what I would do, man. I would spend the winter getting a bunch of reps in, and I'm telling you, I think you'll come out the other side with a little more confidence. Because I think when you're playing golf and you're playing in tournaments and you got a real life, so you're not practicing all day. When you're on a golf course, it's so easy to get caught up in the result, like whether the ball goes in or whether it doesn't. And what you're able to do indoors is remove yourself from that and just focus on, your setup and the motion and getting comfortable. And that's what you're shooting for, is comfort, not.
How was your emotions on the golf course while going through it?
There
like
were
outward.
Well, I didn't show it.
Right.
But
because I'm doing
inwardly,
I feel like
I was
asking it. I feel like I want to break every club in my bag. However, you would never know that by how I'm acting.
Right. Right. Well, that speaks to you as a person, because it's really hard. And for me, it was I played with an awful lot of fear, and there were times where, like, I described it as being insanely nervous, like just I could hardly handle it. and I don't know why I kept doing it, to be honest. I was ready to be done with it, I guess. But and then part of it was just being sad because I loved playing golf so much, and here I was like not able to play, and that just made me sad. It wasn't that I wasn't winning tournaments or anything like that. It was just like I was kind of feeling like I was losing something that I love so much, you know?
Yeah. No, I completely get it. I mean, and of course now, I mean, then you're playing every day, you know, you're grinding every day, you're practicing every day. For me, at least it's once a week, you know, weekend warrior.
Yeah.
And it's still frustrating. You still don't like it, but you know, at least now it's like, I don't get upset about it. You know,
Yeah.
I get really frustrated. You know, you get frustrated, you know, because you want to be able to perform or feel like you can perform at your best and you feel handicapped. But,
Yeah,
I
for me,
appreciate.
I was on scholarship, you know, practicing with the team, playing, and I felt like an idiot, you know. I had like a 10-footer up the hill and I'd three putt in practice, you know.
Right.
And every now and then I got my emotions under control and I qualified for tournaments, and every now and then I'd go play well. I had some decent stretches, but overall in college I didn't do anything. And and so for me to go from that like to standing on the first tee at the US Open was like I cried on the first tee because that's what I was thinking of. And these are stories, like a lot of the stories I tell about this stuff was stuff that nobody ever heard. You know,
When you told me that day, I was floored. And I'm like, dude, you never told anybody. And you like, I kept that to myself. Like
yeah.
that was the only person in the world that knew, I guess, was your dad, right?
Yeah, but even that was after I was struggling all through freshman year of
Oh yeah.
college. And
Oh my. So it was like a full year of playing.
yeah, yeah,
Actually, we were able to. Oh wow.
yeah, yeah. So golf is hard. Golf just kicks you in the nuts one way or another. Sometimes it kicks you harder, but
Yeah, I think as I've gotten older and um, I do still enjoy it, obviously, or else I wouldn't be talking to you and I wouldn't be trying to play in these tournaments. But um, you know, I just enjoy it so much that I'm like, gosh, if I could just figure this one thing out, then I can at least be like, well, I'm giving it my best shot, you know, instead of
yeah.
I'm giving it like a half a shot because I literally feel so handicapped. And but
Yeah. How about this for a test or a question? You ever
yeah.
do you ever have a couple beers when you're playing golf? Does that help?
I rarely drink on a golf course.
Yeah. No, I'm just curious because for me it did, and like if I had a couple beers, just playing with buddies or something, you know.
Right.
I never did that in college or anything, and you know, I never had literally never had a beer on a golf course until a couple of years after college. And
Except
at some point I realized like it literally just after like half a beer, I noticed that it removed my concern for the result. And you know what I mean? Or it like really eliminated that.
What you're telling me is I need to drink on the golf course.
Maybe. That's my professional advice. I suggest you start drinking.
I suggest you start drinking.
Yeah.
I'll have like a bottle of Jack in my pocket. All right, before at the first tee,
Yeah.
Robert Adcock.
Hold on. Bort told me I had to start drinking.
Yeah, exactly. But no.
No, I was just curious because I think if it does help you, then I think it just more speaks to the cause, right? Like for me, it seemed like I was so concerned with the result, like whether it was a good shot or a bad shot, or whether I was yipping or not. You almost don't care about the result. You just don't want to yip. And but I noticed like, man, if I had a beer, it relaxed that worry.
Yeah, I rarely drink on a golf course, so I can't really speak to whether if that works or not. But
Yeah.
I got to be honest, I'm willing to give it a try.
Try the practice thing before I turn you into an alcoholic, you know?
Okay, all right. Well, that advice.
Yeah. But I think you could be 100 putts a night away, which isn't much, by the way. 100 putts a night over the course of the winter, give or take, away from coming out in the spring and being like, wow, this feels really good. Like,
Yeah.
like there's a lot of little nuances that play into it. And I think you're in a position right now because you have no choice. You can't go play outside. You're removing that, and you can set up a circumstance where it's not about results. It's not about score. It's just about, building a machine that sets up the same way every time, and you have confidence in that machine.
Thank you for giving me that. It'll give me something to focus on in the basement this winter.
Yeah.
And, I'll keep you updated with how I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm gonna check in on you and make sure you're doing your work. If you don't do the work, don't expect anything different, my friend.
Yes, sir. I think I got to be honest. There's probably more people than we realize that go through this, and I think I hope, at least I hope, that there's people that get value out of it. That's the whole reason.
What you're working on is not on the stroke itself. It's on the confidence in the stroke.
Hey, if you haven't subscribed to the Golf Essentials podcast, it'd be super cool if you did. If you really like the stuff, please share it with your buddies. I would really, really appreciate it. Thanks, guys.